Mage here, and I have upgraded my old Portcullis design. That design was from roughly a decade ago, and here is the newest version in my survival world. This is a little fort we built out here, and it's expressly for the purpose of actually fighting raids, which is, fun, right? And it's fairly quick. Now, a regular door of various other sorts could be a lot faster, but this 3 block wide opens up by 2 blocks, with the head block being something you could safely ride a horse through because there's no solid blocks up there. And the portcullis is really aesthetic. It really ties the room together for this little fort out here. And for the activation, I have these note blocks, specifically because they're really easy to hit fast when you're just running through here. You're, oh no, I took a bunch of damage. I want to run back inside. Boop. And then, quick, close it before the villagers escape. Though, to reduce the villagers escaping, we also have carpet sitting on top of some torches, so they won't naturally path out quickly. It's not a complete barrier to their movement, but they won't just immediately dash out an open door the way they did when I didn't have this here. But anyways, here is a 2-block high portcullis that is very quick. About as quick as you can make a portcullis door. And here we are in my redstone world to show you how to build this thing. All right. This is like a whole series of them along here. This is the newest, fastest, slickest version. And once again, some little details, like this could be made a little bit narrower here, but this is designed not to hit redstone records, rather work well in the survival world. In the fort, like that one we just saw, having this spaced out a little bit to the side actually works better, because this would be the inside of the gatehouse right here. Just as an example, these glass blocks would be where the decorative blocks would be, and having it spaced out a bit, it's the torch tower in this little wall joint, and you can still walk into here and have ports to shoot people in front of your door right there. There are ways you could bring it in a bit, like this earlier version was a bit narrower. But this actually works better in the sort of structure where you're going to put this kind of thing. All right, let's look at how this works. So, the modern version of the double piston extender. Oh man, it's tight in here. Easier to see from this side. Okay. So this guy, sticky pistons, top and bottom. One observer, if its butt pointed up, looking at a repeater set to 4 ticks. There must be a solid block up here. And this is where you put your sand or useful detail, concrete powder can't get picked up by Enderman. When I had either sand or gravel, Enderman kept stealing pieces of my door. And behind these, you just have a row of redstone dust. And that's it for the double piston extender. That opens the door. Now, up on the top for closing it, these are non-sticky pistons. You can see where they're placed at. When you actually place them, you'll place them in a row there and there. These will get retracted by the bottom pushing up your decorative blocks. You need 3 high of what are your decorative blocks, bars, fences, whatever. And then you have rows of solid blocks for powering the pistons with redstone dust on top of them. Slow down here so you can get a look of this shape right there. And the other side of the shape at the very top. Doesn't really need any special timing up here, just powering them both. Because in the fully retracted state, when this piston is sitting right here, it won't get powered at first. So you power the top, it moves it. Where it gets moved to, it just gets powered because that line is already powered. And when it's retracted, you don't have to do it. These are both non-sticky pistons. So you're simply turning this off, and they get retracted by pushing them back. Very simple way of doing it, but also works very fast. And coming down from that, you have this torch tower with 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks, 3 torches. Now this uses a copper T flip-flop. This is the block you power to cycle the door. And down here you have your copper block. You have your comparator going into the first torch. You have a comparator on the other side for the other signal. This is a monostable circuit, one I've been using a lot recently, which just has an observer. It gets triggered by moving it, and it gets pushed. So when this is powered, it's pushed here, it powers this block, which then powers that dust down there. Very slick and easy. This sort of bit, you can play with the orientation on this to make it be where you want it to be. The old design used the old monostable circuit with a dropper and hopper. That still works. This is 1 redstone tick faster. And it's actually a bit easier to fit in than the old-fashioned. This guy's is a bit more complicated of a shape. Circuit for power, for a handy way of very quickly and compactly getting the redstone signal in. You have dust coming up to a slab because this is a transparent block. The dust can go right through it to this slab and power it. If you're powering it in here, there it goes. Power it again to close it. And if you were interested in doing the note block style of activating it, it really is idiotically simple. It's just an observer of a note block. Here, it's where you can see it. In the survival world, it is, of course, underground. But you can use anything to power this. Anything that generates a pulse does the job. But, boom. That's it. Well, this should be, looking at this, shouldn't be too hard to build. I think a couple little pause places, so if you want to pause this and look at how everything is laid out, that's a good viewpoint right there. A little bit lower, so it's really clear to see where all those are. Spot there. Those guys. The extender. And as things are placed over here, and another close-up look at the double piston extender and how that's laid out. So that's everything for building it, but a little add-on here at the end. I just felt like taking a look at the various different versions of this made over time. All the way over here, it's the original version, way back in the day. And this one is set up with a little pulse extender timer, so that when you trigger it, it opens and closes. There's a button around here somewhere. Say that pulse extender. Then it just closes on its own. It could have been a T flip-flop instead. It would do the same thing. Depends whether or not you want to close automatically after a few seconds, or if you want to close it once you get inside. But this is the ancient version of that double piston extender. This still works, but you power it, and you have this line of redstone dust here, line of redstone dust here, row of repeaters on one tick, row of repeaters on one tick, and one going up the top on 2 ticks, one on 1 tick, and one on 4 ticks. This works. If you want to have the sand stay up when this side is powered, this will actually do that, whereas the modern one will not. But with the design, the way it's set up, since it's a portcullis and not a sand door, just has this little monostable circuit here that would just send a pulse from here into this, so it goes, and then comes back down. But it's just so much messier, so much more cumbersome than the modern one, and a bit slower. This is that one, but cleaned up for presentation purposes a bit, not including all the activation circuits, just the door and a block to power to start it. And then a slightly more modern version. So this is the modern version, as compact as possible, with a copper T flip-flop and the observers aren't exactly brand new, but the observer-based monostable circuit. This is as compact as you can make it, but like I said, it actually fits in survival better when it's a larger design, because if you just need to cram it into the smallest possible space, this works. But in the places I tend to use a door like this actually fits better. And then there's an intermediate version that has the old school monostable paired with a copper flopper, because I halfway set it up to be modern. Yeah, those are my unnecessary extra thoughts. Hopefully some people find this design useful.